Good day everyone, my name is Ruby Ann Iran together with Jaire Gonzalez, and we're going to discuss about the tools and materials in identifying learners with developmental disabilities. Let's jump to the objectives. Objectives to be able to know what are the tools and materials in identifying learners with developmental disabilities and be able to familiarize these tools and materials. First is the meaning of developmental disabilities. So, developmental disabilities are a group of conditions due to an impairment in physical learning, language, and behavior areas. Now, first, developmental disability is ADHD, or the Attention Deficit Hyperactivity Disorder, or ADHD. A person with ADHD has differences in the brain activity and brain development that affects attention and ability to sit still, also self-control. Tools and materials in identifying ADHD. So just move our here. So in identifying the ADHD, we have first the standardized test because it allows to measure the accuracy. What kind of standardized tests are going to be used? Second, we have the DSM-5 and the DSM-4. It is DSM stands for Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorder. Isa siyang standardized clinical definition to determine the presence of the ADHD. So, ano ang meron si DSM-4? Si DSM-4 usually diagnose siya in the infancy, childhood, and adolescence. Si DSM-5 nagkonsist ng neurodevelopmental disorders. So, if you can see or you can access the Google Drive link that we give, makikita kayo doon ng folder with label as standardized test, checklist, and scale. So, makikita nyo doon, pinesent ko doon or in-upload ko doon yung mga samples ng mga standardized tests na ituturo ko ngayong araw. So, next is the Connors Teachers Rating Scale. It is a 1997 revised version of Long for ADHD Index. So, meron ding Connors Teacher Rating Scale na in-upload ko on our Google Drive. So, you can also check that out. Okay, we have the Connors Teacher Rating Scale, which consists of 27 to 28 questions, and then divided siya sa 4 subscale. We have the oppositional problem, cognitive problem, hyperactivity, and ADHD index. Okay, bakit kasama si oppositional problem? Oppositional problem, guys, is an oppositional defiant disorder. Kasama siya sa mga behavioral disorder as well. Kaya kasama siya sa 4 subscales dito sa Connors Teacher Rating Scale. Sa Connors Teacher Rating Scale, meron din tayong Connors Parent Rating Scale. Is also revised for the Parent or Caregivers Rating Scale. So, anong gagawin dito ni teacher at ni parent? So, meron po tayong rating scale to be given for the teachers and the parents. Doon na madadetermine kung ano yung mga ginagawa ng bata or yung mga bagay na behavior na pinapakita ng bata. So, may nakikita natin kapag in-access natin yung isang folder na may mga kinompile ko na mga sample tests, makikita nyo doon ang isa sa mga tingnan is angry and resentful. Tinitingnan, i-scale mo siya 4 to 5, gaano kadalas nangyayari na ang bata ay nagagalit, gaano kadalas ang bata ay hindi nagfo-focus. So, under siya ng teachers and parent rating scale. Kasi si teacher, kaya niyang i-observe si students inside the classroom, and si parent naman, kaya niyang i-observe ang kanyang child, syempre sa house nila, kung paano yung behavior ng bata inside and outside the classroom. So, next we have the rating scale checklist. Ito naman helps clinicians obtain information from child, adult, parent, and other about the symptoms and function in various settings, often used to screen, evaluate, or monitor the child and teenager with an ADHD. Next, we have Child Behavior Checklist, or CBL 6 to 18. 6 to 18 is the age of the child. So, it identifies the problem behavior including the possible disorder o hindi pa pang internalizing problems. It is consistent naman in 120 checklist. So next we have the Vanderbilt or VADPRS ADHD rating scale. Si Vanderbilt rating scale is meron ding VADPRS which is Vanderbilt Teacher Rating Scale. So si Vanderbilt Parent Rating Scale naman, ito yung nag-provide siya ng information for the parents. Use of social functioning and school performance. Okay, consists of 45 questions. Sa teacher rating scale, sa VADPRS, consists naman siya ng 43 questions and ito yung provide ng information ng performance ng bata sa school na may ADHD symptoms. So, number 7 is the ADHD rating scale 4. Sa ADHD, RS4, or rating scale 4, includes siya ng mga separate forms. So, separate forms pa rin siya, nagagaling pa rin kay parent, kay caregiver, and sa teacher pa din. So, based on the 18-item scale divided into subscales naman siya under the hyperactivity, impulsivity, or sa innateness. So, next we have the medical exam. In medical exam, nag-rule out to ng physical or psychological cause that could be better account for the symptoms. So, alam naman natin kung ano mga ginagawa in medical exam. So, brain scan or brain imaging techniques such as EEG or the electrocephalography. Ito ay isang diagnostic test which is may device na kinakabit on your sides of your brain. So, dito siyang mga wires connected to your brain. Or the other one is the CT scan or the computerized tomography. So, ito naman yung mga X-ray images taken from different angles of the body. Yung mga nakikita natin na mga sa mga hospital, yung mga pinapasok na nakahiga siya, tapos papasok siya sa parang bilog. So, yun yung sa CT scan. So, MRI naman is the magnetic resonance imaging. Ito yung detailed pictures naman na inside your body as a power, gamit yung powerful magnetic field, no? So, ito yung mag-rule out ng brain abnormalities that can that are inconsistent with the ADHD. Kasi, as what I've said before, nakikita nila yung image between the body, different angles, and then yung pinaka-inner part images na pwede mo ko na-x-ray sa ating katawan. So, next we have the psychological and education testing. In psychological educational testing, present yung IQ and achievement test na necessary to identify the additional problem. So, bakit kinukuha si IQ? As we all know, ADHD, marami silang bagay na hindi kayang ma-focus. So, etong mga bagay na to ang nakakapagsabi na mas mababa ang performance nila within the school kaya kinukuha ang kanilang mga IQ and other performances. But, hindi naman ito proven ng research talaga na kapag may ADHD ang person, mababa na agad yung kanyang IQ. So, it differs pa rin sa bata. Next, we have the intelligence and memory testing. It is important part of an ADHD evaluator. And then we have the Wechsler Adult Intelligence Scale or the WIS in evaluating two primary areas of the mental abilities and the verbal skills and performance skills. So, guys, kapag hindi nyo po masyadong maintindihan kung ano yung mga tinatanong sa Vanderbilt, corners, sa mga DSM-5 and DSM-4, I will repeat again, in-upload ko po ito sa Drive dun sa may folder na nakalagay na standardized, rating scale, and checklist. So, let's move on. So, we are now going the tools and materials for the ADHD learners. So, in the tools and materials na ADHD learners, pinakauna natin is the squeeze balls or the stress balls. These are the hand exercisers or yung mga push ball, squishy and quietly. So, kapag ini-squeeze daw yung mga balls na to is very quiet lang. Kaya, ginagamit din siya ni teacher sa loob ng classroom para sa mga person with ADHD to make sure na ginagamit nila to under the desk para sa minimal distractions ng ibang batang makakakita. Next, we have the fidgets. Ito rin nagkikip ng student's hand occupied. So, mga fidgets po, hindi lang po ito yung alam natin na iniikot sa kamay. Ito rin po yung mga parang pinapop up na mga laruan. Kasi ang fidgets po is for calming then the student's mind kapag may ginagawa sila. So, hindi lang po siya yung fidget na alam natin na may na pinapaikot sa kamay. So, may different types po ng fidgets. Next, we have the silly putty. Silly putty or play-doh or sticky tack. This can also keep the student's hands occupied. Tulad na pinakita ko nina, yung para siyang clay, that's the play-doh. So, yung mga clay, hindi yung nagbibigay sa kanila para ma-occupy din ang kanilang mga hands. Next, we have the Velcro. Velcro, it gives students something to touch. No? It is a tape, excuse me, tape or a strip, tape strip siya na very rough. Yung side ng Velcro under the desk of the students. Nilalagay din siya under the desk of the students. Pwede siyang hawak-hawakan ng bata sa ilalim. Eto guys, yung Velcro, makikita natin siya. Pwede rin to sa bag, mostly. Yung tape strips na bag, kapag may binubuksan tayo, di ba? Meron tong Velcro na maliit na kumbaga nag-a-attach within the bag. So, ito naman guys, ang Velcro naman dito is ginagamit for students to touch something under the table. So, yun yung mga Velcro. Gum or chewable necklace. So, yung gum can be used sa loob ng classroom, but sometimes may policy tayo na no gum classroom. So, ang pinaka-alternative is the necklace, chewable necklace. So, bakit si chewable necklace ang ginagamit? Siyempre po, we have also the policy inside the classroom. And then, when it comes to the chewable necklace, hindi lang po isa ang itsura ng chewable necklace. Meron din pong chewable necklace na mismo yung pinaka-necklace is pwede mo ding i-chew. And then, we have different sizes and it comes with different shapes also. Next, we have the doodling or doodle, mga doodle. Can help students to focus and even enhance their ability in drawing. They can draw during story time in a lesson. Excuse me. So, in doodling, pwede siya ipagawa if ever you have an activity for the students to also enhance their skills in drawing, or if they are on a area where they can draw. Kasi meron din tayo mga pinoprovide, diba, na spaces or areas for students. So, next we have the background noise music. So, in the background noise music, nakaka-help din yung mga headset with a noise cancellation para sa mga bata na gusto na only focus on something. Kasi, it is said that especially yung mga electric fan, nilalagay siya sa likod or sa likod ng room for students to focus then. Kasi every time even tayo, if we have electric fan na sa atin is nakaharap, di ba? Yung mas narinig pa rin natin yung ingay ng electric fan kesa dun sa sinasabi ni teacher. So, it is proven na mas maganda ilagay siya sa likod ng classroom. And hindi rin siya nakaka-interface with what's happening inside the classroom. Kapag headset is not available or bawal gamitin syempre during the time that the teacher is nagle-lesson, pwede pa rin niya magamit yung noise cancellation headset kapag tapos na ang class hours. Para more on focus din siya something na gusto niya pang gawin inside the classroom also. And then we have this one statement is from a research. One of the teachers succeed having an aquarium sa likod ng classroom. So why? Kasi narinig ng mga bata yung squish or yung splash ng mga water. So it's very calming for them, and it helps them to focus more on the it makes it calms the mind and it makes them focus pala dun sa may discussion kasi very relaxing yung naririnig nila. So next we have the chair leg bands. Chair leg bands or the yoga band. So itong chair leg bands ay nilalagay under the table or under the chair. So nakakabit siya sa ilalim ng mga upuan or table. At to naman yung help yung students to push and pull with their legs para hindi din sila nagpo-foot tapping. Diba yung mga pagtatap ng paa ng mga bata with ADHD. Next is the bouncy balls or the yoga ball or exerciser balls. Ito naman great for the students because they can have fun and they can do small exercises. Next is the swivel chairs. These help the students to twist a little bit from side to side, and rocking chair may also works. And then wobble chair, it is like a swivel chair or disc seat. These seats lets the students to rock their seats but not too much to prevent students to fall off. Next is the disc chair. Allow students to rock on their seats and it's not dangerous as rocking the entire chair. So, ano pong pinagkaiba ni wobble chair kay disc chair? Wobble chair po is fixed in one size. And the disc chair po is pwede mo siyang iangat and ibaba. So, meron siyang adjustment sa ilalim. So, but sinabi na si disc chair is not dangerous as the rocking chair. Kasi po si disc chair pwedeng mababa. Hindi natin siya, even if you rock that, kung nakababa rin naman yung paa natin, we also prevent ourselves from falling. Kaya gumamit tayo ng wobble chair kapag naging magalaw-gaw or masyado tayong magalaw within the rock chair, pwede rin tayong magpaikot-ikot sa upuan ng wobble chair. Pwede rin tayong mag-cause na mag-fall or malaglag. Kasi wobble chair is only one size. Next is the standing desk. This desk is great for all students. Ito pong standing desk, if you can see, sa ilalim ng desk is may lagay ng paa, which is the person can stand on that desk. And then next is the desk with swinging footrest. It builds footrest, can help reduce the noise that comes from foot tapping. Next is the stationary bikes. Putting it at the back of the classroom may help them to be active. So, this makes them active and also can make some small exercises as well. Classroom space for moving around. This what all students need, diba? Yung malaking space para makapag-dance sila, stand, stretch, play, or twirl. Especially kapag the teacher started with an energizer, yung mga sasayaw sila. They can have fun as well as hindi sila makakatama ng iba pang gamit. Next is the flexible work location. Ito yung mga may stations, sabi natin drawing stations, small station for books or mga libraries. No, students doesn't work in one area. They can work at the window sill or move from one desk to another. Also, having different learning stations can benefit all types of the learners. Next is Developmental Disability, Angelman syndrome, a genetic condition that affects nervous system and cause severe and physical disabilities. We have here the genetic testing in identifying Angelman syndrome. Ano pong ginagawa ni genetic testing? This genetic testing can identify the abnormalities in your child's chromosome, that indicate Angelman syndrome. Kasi nga si Angelman syndrome is a genetic disorder. Next is the blood type or the blood test rather. It is a definite diagnosis can always made through a blood test. Kasi po we have the blood test ginagamit din siya sa genetic testing as well. Next is the parental DNA pattern known as the DNA methylation test. Screens for 3 of the 4 known genetic abnormalities that can cause Angelman syndrome. Next is the missing chromosome or ang gamit po natin dito is the CMA or the chromosomal macroarray. Ito po yung nagsishow ng portions of the chromosomes who are missing. And the gene mutation. Rarely, Angelman syndrome may occur when a person's maternal copy of UBE3A, a gene is active but mutated. It is result from the DNA methylation. Tests are normal. Your child's doctor may order a UBE3A gene sequencing. This took for a maternal mutation. So, si UBE3A po is a gene. Enzyme siya involved together with the proteins degradation within the cell. Si methylation po is we can change the activity of the DNA segment without changing the sequence na ating DNA. Next, we have we have now tools and materials in equipment for Angelman syndrome. Ano ba yung mga gamit na pwede sa kanila? Next is the communication aids. Sa communication aids, lahat po dito is all about iPads and apps. So we have Pragmatic Organization Dynamic Display or PODD. Ang PODD po, as we can see on the picture, it is a book and a device. So, dalawa po siyang type. So, that contains symbols and words to support communication between people with complex communication needs and their communication partners, whether that's caregiver, family, friends, or support workers. And next, we have the Dynavox Express Voice Output Communication. Si Dynavox po gives you an immediate access to communicate in every setting, anytime, anywhere. And then, compact siya, very lightweight. The Express can be held in one hand. Pwede siya sa palm mo, carry ng 1 palm or 2 palm. Pwede rin siya sa pocket or purse. Very handy siya. Designed to support siya for active participation in every interaction. So, anong meron si Dynavox Express na pinagkaiba ni PODD? Si PODD po is a book. May book siya and then meron din siyang device, no, na nagkakaroon din siya ng kung paano makipag-communicate. So, pipindutin mo lang po dito sa device yung mga bagay. Pinagpa-plus-plus lang po yan and then magkakaroon ka na ng something to say within the person. Next is the Dynavox Express output. Sa kanya naman po pinakaiba niya is nagpo-produce siya ng sounds. Nagpo-produce siya ng sounds kapag napipindot siya ng mga words na gusto niya or gusto niyang sabihin. So, may mga pictures po dito which is halimbawa angry plus dog, ganyan. So, doon siya nakaka-create ng pinaka-sentence na sasabihin within the person. Next, we have the iPad Pro Long to Go application. Si iPad Pro Long to Go naman, software din siya. Augmentative and alternative for communication. It allows you to pick different voices. So, ang pinagkaiba ni Dynavox kay iPad Pro Long to Go is si iPad Pro Long to Go po has the different voices. So, pwede kang pumindot doon kung anong klaseng voice ang gusto mong ikalabasan. Pwedeng pang female, pwedeng pang male. And then, si Dynavox is only one voice lang ang kanya nilalabas. Next is the leg and back brace, and other personal care. So, equipment. So, bakit kailangan ni Angelman syndrome to? Hindi naman lahat ng Angelman syndrome may kailangan ng mga gantong leg and braces. Pero, if it is severe na siya na developmental delays, doon na nagkakakos ng na hindi na maintain yung balance. May balance issues na, may walking difficulties and muscle weakness in the torso and legs, and mga scoliosis, and this leg and ankle braces will help them to support, no, sa kanilang pagtayo or paglakad-lakad. So, next we have the high-tech wheelchairs for mobility access. Si high-tech wheelchairs po, meron tayong iba-iba ding klase ng high-tech wheelchairs. For the picture, makikita naman natin the other one is nakaupo siya. And then, yung babae is standing. It helps naman siya para makapaglakad siya. The other one naman, meron pa rin tao mag-support sa kanya sa pagtulak ng wheelchair na yan. Next is for the Bipolar Disorder. Formerly called the manic depression, it is a mental health condition that causes extreme mood swing, that include emotional high mania or hypomania and low depression. Si bipolar po, wala po siyang material or tools pwedeng i-apply or gamitin. Only stress ball, pwede naman is the stress ball lang. But mostly, they need the medication. So, what are the medications na needed nila? They need the mood stabilizer to control the manic or hypomanic. Antipsychotic drugs. Ito pwede prescribed with the doctors. Some of these medications alone or with the mood stabilizer. Then, antidepressant. Doctors may add antidepressant to help manage depression. Anti-anxiety medications or benzodiazepines may help with the anxiety to improve sleep but are usually used a short-term basis. Antidepressant, antipsychotic, it works depression treatment and a mood stabilizer. Next, we have the CAPD or the Central Auditory Processing Disorder. In this condition, in which ears and the brain do not work together. So CAPD, tools and materials for identifying, kailangan din this is the communication checklist, language and cognitive test, using series of tests in a sound-treated room, CAPD assessment by the audiologist, designed siya to assess specific auditory processing abilities. The test results are then integrated and are compared to normative data to determine a diagnosis. It can take 1.5 hours and they should not be tired when performing the test. So they need to sleep before taking this CAPD test by the audiologist. And next, we have the test batteries. Next, types of assistive technology tools and equipment for CAPD. We have the personal listening device or the PLD. This can help students to hear a teacher's voice clearly. With the PLD, the teacher wears a clip or a wireless microphone, and the mic will transmit her voice directly to the student's personal speaker or earpiece. So, paano nag-transmit yung sinasabi ni teacher sa earpiece or sa speaker ng mga students? So, because this PLD can be connected with the Wi-Fi or Bluetooth to transmit the voice. Next is the noise-canceling headphones. For kids who are sensitive to sound, the noise-canceling headphones can block out the background noise for the kids. Next is the field system. Field system is system broadcast whereas the teacher's voice to speakers are placed on a certain location in the classroom. It helps students to hear well. So, yung field system, yung mga speakers is placed in the different size of the classroom, especially if person under the CAPD or Central Auditory, mas nahihirapan silang makarinig ng mga voices. So, these speakers will help them para mas malalo nilang marinig si teacher na nagsasalita in the class. Kasi meron din itong kasamang also a mic for the teacher para mas ma-enhance yung sinasabi ni teacher sa students, especially sa mga nagsuot ng earpiece. Next is the audio records. This allows kids to record classroom lectures or discussion. Helps them to listen to the lecture several times. So, kapag may na-miss sila ng mga lessons or hindi naintindihan, the audio records will also help them para maka-catch up sa lessons. So, pinaprovide din po ang audio records or audio recording. Next is the Down syndrome condition, where the child is born with an extra copy of their 21 chromosomes. Hence, its other name is the trisomy 21. For Down syndrome, we have the cryotype, allows the doctor to examine the chromosomes. Ano po si cryotype? Si cryotype po is a picture of the person's chromosome. Then we have the aminocentesis and chronic villus sampling, called the CVS. In both test samples are taken inside your womb, but a needle usually pass through your tummy. So, may needle siya na ipapasok sa tummy ni pregnant mommy, and then it is ginagamit for a test na CVS. And then, but then, hindi to masyadong ino-offer ni doctor kasi it has a big risk of miscarriage in both tests. Note, before birth, prenatal, and postnatal to ginagawa. Next, the diagnostic test, which can identify, diagnose whether your baby has a Down syndrome. So, yun din pwede sa Down syndrome. Excuse me. Next, we have the tools and materials for a Down syndrome learner. We have first the Ginger. It is for writing a tool that is available for mobile and desktop users. Ginger has features include word prediction, customizable theme, grammar checker, sentence phrase, and translator. This will help them write effectively than a normal keyboard. So very helpful siya for students with Down syndrome. Kasi parang halos ginagawa niya din lahat. No? If you can see on the picture, may mic, may salamin, may settings, and so on. Next, we have the Solo 6 Literary Suite. In the Solo 6 Literary Suite allows users to read text out loud, and to write text out loud also includes word prediction and very easy to use. So, meron siyang sarili niyang read text out loud. Pwede rin siya sa write a text out loud using your voice. Next is the See and Learn Speech. See and Learn Speech allows students to practice their speech skills in different techniques as producing sound. So, See and Learn Speech po is a card or an app. So, parang katulad lang din siya kanina, di ba? May book and then meron ding application. Next is the Echo Smartpen. The Echo Smartpen allows users to record everything they write, hear, or say, allows to transfer the record audio notes onto their laptops or desktop via USB cable to the Echo desktop. Pag nakita po natin clearly itong Echo Smartpen, meron po talaga siyang speaker, meron siyang button for recording, meron din siyang camera, and lagayan ng cards for the masave yung mga na-record niya. So, it's very high-tech. Next is the rigid key guards. Improve their way of writing using a laptop or the computer. Sa rigid key guards, makikita natin sa picture may mga parang white doon sa malapit sa pindutan sa taas. So, sa rigid key guards, yun po yung nagpe-prevent para hindi mapindot nung bata agad yung mga keys. So, yun yung mga nagpe-prevent sa kanya. So, as possible, isasakto natin yung mga fingers natin under those letters sa keyboards. And then next, we have the DIY travel games, alphabet learning. In this case, pwede mo siya magamit if the child is on a trip or on a travel. Now, part of the set that also includes games like tic-tac-toe, maze fun. It helps to learn more easier and in a fun way rather than on the books or charts. In DIY travel games, ikaw mismo ang sariling gagawa. What do you want to do? Parang may gawin na interaction within the child. Pwede kang gumawa ng ABC and then pwede mo ipatrace sa kanya. And pwede naman road trip, tapos alphabet, A to Z. Name the things na nakita nyo sa daan within the A to Z. So make it fun and more easier para sa bata maintindihan yung bagay rather than reading a book. Next is the PFM Pro. It is the assistive technology allows the audio to directly reach the user's ear whether at home or in school. So, paano nangyayari yun? Si PFM Pro po is like a walkie-talkie. Naabot niya yung mga wires kahit malayo ka sa kanya. So, next is the KNFB Reader. Also allows its users to view the report automatic page detection and tilt control. Sa KFNB Reader app po, it converts and text to speech and text to highlighting. So, app siya na pwede mo siyang itapat doon sa paper. Then, it will automatically read kung ano yung nakabasa doon and then kakapture niya lahat or i-highlight niya lahat ng details na masasabi niya. So, hindi mo kailangan siyang basahin. You just need to capture the paper with this KNFB reader. Next, the memo to me. This is an assistive tool that helps to remind everything, assignment, and other schoolworks and schedules. Para lang siyang app at saka yung mga notes na mayroon tayong ginagamit ngayon. Next is the Expressive Language Disorder. A lifelong condition that impacts the ability to use language. People with this language disorder understand what others are saying, but they have a hard time expressing their own ideas or when they speak. So, tools and materials na identify for expressive language disorder is the word finding difficulties, limited vocabulary, evaluated by speech language pathologies. The next is the FXS or the Fragile X syndrome, an inherited genetic disease passed down from the parents to children that cause intellectual and developmental disabilities. Tools and materials for identifying FXS is the FMR1 DNA test, sometimes called the Fragile X DNA test. The FMR1 is the individual FXS and individual at risk for carrying the mutation can be determined by examining the size of the trinucleotide, repeat segment, and the methylation status of the FMR1 gene, and then testing person's DNA from the blood test. Next is the Decentric Chromosome 15 syndrome. Is a chromosome abnormality that affects many different parts of the body. People with this condition have an extra chromosome called an Decentric Chromosome 15, which is made of two pieces of chromosome 15 that are stuck together end to end. Tools and materials for identifying this chromosome 15 syndrome is the ultrasound, the amniosynthesis, and the chronic villus sampling, CVS. Alam naman natin yung ultrasound. It is ginagawa siya sa mga mommies who are pregnant to see the baby. Para siyang camera na nilalagay malapit sa tiyan. So, nakikita natin yung bata sa loob. And then, si amniosynthesis and CVS, katulad ng kanina doon sa isa pang developmental disability, ito yung may needle na pinapasok sa tummy ni pregnant mommy. And then, next is the specialized test. Next is the Landau-Kleffner syndrome or KSF. LKS is a difficulties with speech and seizures. Children with LKS lose the ability to talk and understand the speech. Tools, materials identifying the Landau-Kleffner syndrome is EEG, or katulad nga kayong sinabi ko, it is the electroencephalography, yung mga kinakabit na wires on our brain. Genetic testing. So, sinabi na rin natin kanina what is a genetic testing. It tests the chromosomes. And then, hearing test audiometry, yung katulad kanina si APD, which is under siya na sound-treated room, and doon siya tinetest ni audiologists. And then, the brain or the MRI or the magnetic resonance imaging, yun yung mga detailed pictures inside your body na meron siyang magnetic field. So, yun yung mga gamit na materials identifying the Landau-Kleffner syndrome. Next is developmental disabilities under the learning disability. This will be discussed by Jaire Gonzalez.